morning. Thank you for joining us today. How's everybody feeling? Good. Is everybody here to listen and participate in a conversation about sustainable communities? Yes. Awesome. As soon as we have all our chairs up, we're going to introduce our panel. I'm curious, how many people here right now live in a community that you are happy with? Wow, not one hand. Oh, I see one. There was a kind of hand. Okay, there's a hand. How many people here live in a community that you are not happy with? Okay. How many people do not have community at all? Happy or unhappy, just not community. How many people are seeking community? How many people are seeking community in a specific location to live? How many people are seeking a decentralized community, but the relationships aspect, no matter where it might be? Few people. Okay, cool. It's good for me to know where you all are and what you are seeking so I can cater my questions to our awesome panel specifically for you. And that's what we're about to do. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 2 more chairs. I could stand if needed, if there's not 2 more. Thank you. All right. Gentlemen, if you want to start coming up and taking a seat, we will start introducing our panel here. So before we get specific names and projects and what's going on, I want to explain the diversity here showing up on the stage. We've got someone representing those of you who do not have a specific community and is seeking. We've got people building community, actively, physically building the homes. We've got people with property who are calling in community. And there's people like myself. I live in a community that I'm very, very happy with, and I'm here to talk about the aspects of that, right? So I think we're going to have everybody covered in this situation. Okay, so I think we have multiple mics. If maybe we could scatter them out so we don't have to pass them so far. And what I would like to do is start with Ernie down on the end. And I would like each of you to introduce yourself, your name, and why you are here on this panel. Because as I mentioned, there's a diversity of community represented here. And some people are building, some are talking about, seeking, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And others are doing it. So let's start with Ernie. Name, where you're from, and why you're here talking about community today.
Ernest Hancock. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. My wife and I have been activists since the late 80s. I mean, we've been doing this a long time. The number one thing that comes up, certainly since the Levolution in '08, has been intentional communities, getting off the grid, doing it. And my first thing was, what do I have to do? What can't I do? And what's your conflict resolution? They're going to go, well, you have to this, I don't want to do that. Well, you can't do that, well, I wanted to do that. What's your conflict resolution? Yeah, so that is the main. Now, we're doing, living off grid by occupy the land thing that you've seen up here. So we're way down the road on this. But the social aspect is what I'm interested in. How are you going to organize, unorganized? Do you need an organization? When you say community, what does that mean? Hippie commune owning the backhoe, and who fixes it when it breaks? So there's so many details in this that I have probably more questions than anything else. But we're spearheading doing it. And what you heard the last presentation with Paul Play is that we are making the move. We already started changing banks, going to credit unions, using crypto. We're making the break because you have to. If you don't make the break, with the legacy system, you're going to be enslaved by it. So I'm going to have more questions than probably what the answers you want.
My name is Aristotle Karras. I'm from Colorado. I've been working on this project for about 7 years, realizing, the cause of it. I've been in real estate for over 23 years, and seeing the everything. I predicted, the real estate fall of 2008 because I'm an auctioneer, as many of you have noticed. So I sold property via auction, and I kept looking for what's going to happen when when the bubble breaks and what happens with it, and seeing it. And then I've been looking for some sort of community to be a part of. And then I was like, shoot, I got to create it. I have to be the one that creates it. And so I started to look for property and finding it. And I just fell in love with a beautiful project in southern Colorado called La Vita. And had a golf course called Grandote Peaks. And I love the word Grandote. It's an Indian word that means the great one. And to live large is what it actually translates into. So that's where I started to bring my name out of it, and it's called Grandote. And but I realized that there's so many problems that it's solving. So we're going after multiple issues of what you were talking about, Ernie. So the school systems in the United States are broken. The health system in the United States is broken. The government is broken. The economics is broken. The food system's broken. Like, it's just like all of this. So I was like, oh my gosh, how do I attack all of these things at one time by myself? And then I realized I don't need to by myself. I just need to attract the people. So now what's been happening for the last 2 years is the people are now finding me. So now I notice that my resonance of who I am has changed so much that I'm now a magnet for what is happening. And a poll that Phil did, he's over at another workshop with the Nexus, they did a survey and of where people wanted to do intentional communities. And I thought, coming to Anarchapulco 3 years ago, that I wanted to go out of the United States. I wanted to go somewhere else that I could be free of government. Well, I've been now researching and figuring out a way to get rid of the taxes and get rid of these things all legally so that they can't touch me, because I'm playing their game, but understanding how they're playing their game, and say, I can play that game too. And I can use your laws, because if I hold up a shield that's representing of them, I become bulletproof, because they can't poke holes in it because they're abiding by all the same laws. So I went around it with a different way. Instead of fighting them, I used their own medicine against them, which is called homeopathy. The snake that bit you is the snake that cures you. The anti-venom has come from the venom. So that's what I've been working on to do. To build, and we're looking at, on a grander scale, it's a $3.6 billion project. It has a ski area, it has a golf course, it's a luxury, resort system that helps build beautiful things. Because isn't this beautiful that we're in? Isn't the Secret Gardens beautiful? Look at what they've created, and look at this. This is the most magnificent place ever with it all. So I've been mentored by a gentleman by the name of Scott Brown. So if you want people to look at and do these things, you should really get Scott on your show. He built the town of Telluride, Colorado. How many of you have heard of Telluride, Colorado? It's voted the #1 ski town in the world to live in. He built it off of 3 principles from when he was reading the philosopher Goethe. People need 3 things to remain sane. The 3 things are art, science, and nature, okay? He started the Telluride Film Festival. He started the Telluride Technology Festival. He created the bank. He put in the airport. He put in the music festival, the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, one of the largest festivals in the United States that's growing and growing strong. And then he helped put in the ski area and built the gondola, which was named the #1 public transportation system in the world. He's been mentoring me for almost 2 years on how to build a city. Because it's not a community, it's a city that you're building, and how to build those things and how to develop those things. So we're looking at real estate with blockchain and real estate with simple intent, because In Telluride, the starter homes are now $5 million. The starter homes are $5 million. So they have a problem. Real estate has a problem because it escalates faster than the wages. So how do you solve that problem? It took me 2.5 years to solve that one. Sorry.
This is the longest introduction I've ever heard.
Okay, sorry.
But it's really good information, right? I'm loving it. But I also want to hear from the other speakers. I love you. And rant later.
Yeah. Good stuff. I'll keep it very brief. My name is Mike Cobb. I am the CEO of ECI Development. We started our company in Belize in 1996. 27 years ago, we really built our company to serve folks looking for a higher quality of life and a lower cost of living. We thought in Belize, but very quickly we found out that people are looking at many other locations. So today we're in, thank you, yeah. Today we're in 7 countries, most recently Portugal and the Azores, and we build intentional communities that largely center around the freedom groups and with sub-intentions like agro-resiliency, crypto, and other things. So I'm speaking later today at 4 o'clock here, and I'll go into that in detail, but the panel's about community, and I think that is fundamentally and foundationally the most important element for a high quality of life. You know, people talk about cost of living, eating organic, health and wellness, and those are all important, but without community, it falls apart quickly, as I've seen over 27 years, and so I'm really glad that we're focused on community this morning.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Chad Schwartz, and I am a practicing apprentice with Earthship Biotecture. I'm just curious out there, who here has ever heard of Earthships? Do we know what an Earthship is? All right, whoa, awesome. That's incredible. I'm very happy to see that. So for those of you who don't know, an Earthship it's a home which can take care of your family, and you will not need any reliance on any authority for your basic necessities of life. You can get your own energy and water, you can treat your own waste, even grow some of your own food. So as an anarchist, that really appealed to me. So I've been learning from them for many years, and as far as community goes, I'm really more of an individualist my whole life. As a young person, just sort of from a broken home and this crazy difficult world we lived in, I just learned how to be an individualist and take care of myself. I just never got along well with people. I said I'll do it on my own. However, as the years went by, I realized it's very limiting to do things alone, right? Like if you can find somebody who can do like web design this and this other person can organize that, if you can get a good team and work with people and learn how to do that, you can go 10 times further, 100 times further than you could individually. So I had to begin to develop the skill of working with people, learning to respect people, think about things from their position and listening more. And it's a skill that I had to develop, but it's paid off hugely. And in regards to the locations and stuff, some of these guys have been talking about, the 2 communities that have had the most impact on me is the Earthship community in Taos, New Mexico. Just all these people. It was very difficult. In the U.S., with all the laws and regulations, if you want to build an autonomous home, they're coming after you. You have to be very determined, not quit no matter what. And they just worked and worked and worked, and they never stopped, and they developed these incredible autonomous homes. And I really respect that about that community. And to be honest, the Anarchapulco community has changed my life. I came here right when COVID was shutting down the world. I used to teach English in Asia, and then I came here, and I wasn't going anywhere because the whole world was closed down. And Anarchapulco, I pitched an idea, and Cat must have found it, and she reached out to me. And working with this team, this community, I've done, I'm really kind of shocked that I'm on the stage right now. But I've come to realize you can go much further with community, and it takes the skills to learn how to do that, and I'm hoping to learn that from all these people.
So hello everyone, my name is Guillermo Villarreal. I am from Monterrey, Mexico, up north. And so I was raised in a big city, as maybe you know or not, but Monterrey is the industrial city of Mexico. So it's a very big city. It's very hectic. It's just like everything's moving very fast and so forth. And so when I was living there, I was just like, I kind of want a different lifestyle. This very hectic rat race kind of lifestyle was just not doing it for me. So me and my twin brother Gabriel, so we decided, let's let's just make a shift and just like go elsewhere to live, and so we decided to go to this hippie town. Well, it used to be like a nice hippie town. Now it's like very developed, but it's Playa del Carmen. Maybe you guys know. It's like close to Cancun. So we went there like 15 years ago, and so it was very relaxed, very nice. We began working real estate. We were doing just like brokerage for Century 21, and but still we're still like just having all this schedule and so forth. We're like, okay, so like this is a better, nicer like environment and so forth. But we're looking more like for a lifestyle that's more based like on freedom, where we there are different kinds of freedoms. But one of the most important ones are like like having the freedom of your own time, And I was like going from 9 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, okay, so it's something similar that what I'm doing in Monterrey, right? So I figured, I wanted to create a place where I could be freer from economic conditions, like bills and all these things. You're paying like like water bills and electric bills and this and that and food and so forth. So and it's just kind of looked around. There was this guy from Canada called Ted Rhodes. He was like the pioneer of this, and he was a big inspiration for me. And so I began going with him, and he was like doing this project. And but he had, he was a pioneer, but he did it wrong in a certain sense, because he did not have the correct legal framework to do this. So I learned a lot from him, and so eventually we said, okay, we should like get out of like working, like the 9 a.m. to 9 to 5. Well, that's in the U.S. In Mexico, it's more like 8 to 6. It's like longer hours and less pay, and you're just like working and working, and it's like you're rat racing your life around. And like, no. So let's try to do something different, right? Let's try to create a community based on like just acquiring more freedom, right? So we began this project 7 years ago. It's called Ecualdea Pochil. We are like in the Yucatan Peninsula, close to Tulum, between Tulum and Valladolid. And so we began this 7 years ago, and just last year we had the opportunity to make a documentary with Acapulco, and this is the reason why we're here.
Who saw the Vice News mini documentary? This was the intentional community that was featured right here. The twins.
Yeah. So this is why we're here, and thank you for the invitation. It's really nice to be here and be with like like-minded people, and that's also one of the reasons of creating the community, is just like conversing with people who are like-minded, and just like having freedom of speaking and non-judgmental conversations, just freedom from having your own time, just like creating our own food supply, which is also a very big deal for me, because as we all know, like the food is like super contaminated, very contaminated. The nicer the fruit looks and like the crispier it looks, the more GMOs it has and so forth. So it's all genetically modified, and that's eventually getting into your system. So the only way to get out of it is just you have to grow your own food, right? Which is a lot of work, but it's worth it. So that's another things like that motivate us to do this, and we began doing this about 7 years ago, and it's been very good. It's mostly like an international community, so people from Europe, United States, Mexico. So that breeds a very good place for sharing ideas and sharing skills and so forth. So that's what we're about. We'll go more in depth in this conversation, but for now I'll introduce my brother Gabriel.
Thank you very much, brother. So my name is Gabriel Villarreal. As my brother mentioned, we are from Monterrey. We are fraternal twin brothers. I want to start my introduction thanking Catherine. Catherine, she has done a wonderful job. I think this is one of the best events ever. I am 46 years old. I've traveled over 70 countries in the world. And I am completely impressed by the organization, the food quality, the people, the vibes. And most important, remember that we are here, we are like-minded people, and we want freedom, okay? And we don't want to work with politicians, we don't want to work with bankers, we want to be off the grid. This is our intentional community. And as my brother mentioned, one very important factor in a community is the legality of the land, okay? Because many people are squatters, many people buy some land, which is from farmers' land, ejido land in Mexico. I'm going to talk about Mexican law, okay, in our presentation at 3:10 p.m., okay? So don't miss it. And so it's very important nowadays. I tell my clients, hey, friends, you know, like, okay, maybe you can have a golden castle, or maybe you can have a beachfront property, super cool and super wonderful. But when the market crashes in the near future, we don't know when the market is going to crash, when the politicians are going to start introducing their CBDCs. You know, we don't know when all of this is going to happen. So I don't know what people are doing, but I know what we are doing. And I am hardcore prepper, so that you guys know. If you have any questions, please come forward to me. I love prepping, because when the COVID started, I mean, I was completely not prepared for what happened, you know. So now my mindset changed completely. I want to share my values. I want to share what we are doing, our vision. And also, 2 years ago, I was introduced by a German team. I was introduced to Bitcoin. So the moment I got into the crypto space, I fell in love with it. I fell completely in love with it. And I know crypto technology, blockchain technology, and cryptocurrencies. And in the future, it's inevitable that all governments are going to try to push their CBDCs. You all know this, central banking digital currencies. And so we are also, I am the tech guy. My brother is professional in real estate. We're both professional real estate, but I love crypto, and Bitcoin is it's our savior. So I want to embrace with you all crypto technology, blockchain technology. In the near future, we're gonna promote also our eco village with smart contracts, because as you are aware, smart contracts, we have the miners validating all the contracts. So this is what we are going to be pushing forward. And so thank you very much. We're going to be talking about legality and crypto real estate. And the name of our project, as my brother mentioned, is called Equal de Apoxil. And also within our project, we are creating a project called Bitcoin Jungle. We are the first Bitcoin Jungle hub, and we want to attract all the crypto lovers. Okay, thank you very much.
And that's like a co-working thing, right? The Bitcoin Jungle is like a co-working destination in Mexico for people that's associated with the community they're building. So my name is Catherine. I started seeking community as a child. I didn't fit in. I was not like the other kids. And I continued to seek community until I found Ron Paul. And when I found Ron Paul, I found a group of people that I felt initially like, wow, I'm going to do the rest of my life with these people. And I had this very naive and young perspective that if you talked about the same things like Austrian economics that I'm talking about and I'm thinking about, that meant we could do business together and that we could live in the same house together and that we could even start a family together, right? And I surrounded myself with people from within this niche world. And I very quickly discovered that I was a broken person and I was trying to build community with a bunch of broken people, and that we were incapable of doing it. And that's how it felt to me at the time, is that we did not have the emotional intelligence, we did not have the strategic planning, we did not have the communication skills to actually build community. And so after attempting to do community within the Ron Paul movement, I became exhausted, burnt out, bitter, resentful, and extremely codependent with a lot of people who just kind of like latched on to my, if you're a human design person, my generator energy, and just, went for the ride. And I decided I needed something else. And so for me, and I think for everybody, what we need in community, it looks different for each of us. Our individual, our family situations are all unique. but also the time in our life is going to determine what type of community we need to exist in, right? And so I came to the conclusion after having multiple children that I didn't want to start a community. I needed to find one that already existed. So I started traveling and visiting communities, and I thought for a while I was going to move to New Hampshire for the Free State Project, but same thing. I found they did not have the communication skills or the emotional intelligence to actually maintain what felt like stability for me. And I ended up in Texas. The activist community there still was a little too conflict-oriented, if you will, quick to spark and slow to find solutions. And I thought, well, I'm going to move to Anarchapulco. And for those of you who watch The Anarchist, you know how that went. I was like, wow, these people are really screwed up too. And my husband, Paulo, who I met at Anarchapulco 2018, my love, he and I decided we need to get really clear about what we want. And so we made a line item. We didn't want to have to do the work of creating the community. We were tired. We have too many other things going on. And we wanted a space where people could do conflict. And this is something that Ernie brought up, the conflict resolution policy. Like, yeah, we're human beings. We have disagreements. But really, how do those disagreements turn out? That matters, right? We wanted chickens. We wanted blah, 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 blah. And we listed all the things we wanted. And I actually posted on Facebook the list. And 4 people recommended a specific community that was specifically catered to our needs and our list. Called them, went and visited a couple times. Now we live there. We do life there. It's been 2.5 years, and it's the best decision that I have ever made. Where I live is a nonprofit intentional community started in 1969, which is when a whole bunch of intentional communities were born. And some of you may have heard of, like, I think it's called Black Bear Ranch in Northern California. There's Raven Rock Eco Village in Ohio, where I live. I'm not going to say the name on stage because it's where I live with my children, but if you're interested, I'll talk to you one-on-one about it. In 1969, 68, the United States government made the 501c3 designation with the IRS code. And so a lot of hippies, including the farm out in Tennessee with the midwifery birthing is the focus of their community. A lot of these communities popped up. Some of them still exist. I have found some old magazines from a publication called Texas Roadways. And there was an intentional community started in this time in Texas, Peaceable Kingdom, read all these articles about it, can't find them now, they're gone, right? So some of these popped up, they went away, but some stayed. Well, how did they stay? How did they stand the test of time? So I went, I visited, I started to get to know people who had successful intentional communities. And then I found one that had a focus on education, and they run a community school. And everyone who lives there is part of the school. The kids attend the school. Kids commute in from outside. Aha, this community is for me at this time in my life, and my family in this time in our life. So I'm bringing that perspective to the panel. So with that being said, I have a couple specific questions that I would like to ask you guys as individuals. So these aren't going to be necessarily questions for each of you, but if you feel like, oh, I have something to say to that too, like don't object to doing that. So the first question I would like to ask is to Ernie. Now, Ernie, like myself, has visited a lot of communities. He's been involved with a lot of different communities. And I believe in a concept called decentralized geography. I believe in deep roots in several places. That way, something happens here, I can go there. I have choices. Right? I have community in multiple places, and I think Ernie has that in his life in the same way that I do. And in having visited a lot of these communities, been a part of a lot of these communities, I was wondering if you would be willing to speak to what you have seen taking place in communities that are successful, where people are happy, and where they want to continue participating. What are they doing?
They're not doing it right. A lot of them are, and it comes down to some specific traits. for me, when I talk, I've interviewed dozens, really drilled down on this. And a lot of times, it always takes the purchase of the land. You want a place. You got to have you either homestead it, you squat it, you find a canyon, you something, okay? Well, then there's the man. And this is the one thing, I just wrote an article last week, right before I came here, on this one concept we have to get in our heads first to understand what we're going to get. The word freedom and liberty, you think they're kind of interchangeable, and they're not really, okay? Let me give you the difference. You'll understand where this is going. I have the freedom to build my home because I can, lift stuff. I'm healthy. I can do it. I have the freedom. Nobody's got me arrested. I'm not in a cage. I don't have shackles on my ankles. I am free to build my own freaking house. Watch me. But then somebody with a shiny badge and a clipboard goes, you're not at liberty to do that. Liberty is kind of a state, an atmosphere, a state of mind, a general public opinion in the jurisdiction of who has the biggest gun. So when we talk about liberty, we're talking about the Declaration of Independence, what they said, any government is going to be there to defend the rights of the individual, to pursue your happiness as long as it doesn't interfere with someone else's pursuit of happiness. Now, somebody's not happy unless they tell you how to pursue your happiness. So that's why I always say there are, different kinds of people. There are those that just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And there are those that just won't leave them alone. So it's really no more complicated than that. So as I look at all these different communities, a lot of times, we're gonna, and then the shiny badge shows up. Or somebody calls the sheriff, or somebody's a butthead and they go do whatever. You have to be very selective in the people that you associate with, and then their 12-year-old kid becomes a 17-year-old little shit with a 2-stroke motorcycle winging around going, all these things have to be taken into consideration. So when you have a community, the three main things, as I said before, what is it that's required of me? What am I supposed to, what do I have to do? What's my obligation? What's my responsibility? I'll give us $1 million. You can do what the hell you want. Okay, But that's not what most of us have. So you go, all right, what's my contribution for me to be able to be part of this community? Then you have, we're not like in hog farms, next to the school or something. What can't I do? Well, I kind of wanted some pigs, man. What up with that? Bacon's health food. Whatever. So what you have to do, what you can't do, and then when there's some kind of disagreement or conflict resolution, that's the whole thing. It goes back to the Bible. This has been, adjudicated, thought about, talked about forever, as long as there's been humans. So that's what I look for. And when I did all of these different interviews, I remember James Corbett told me about a place in Northern California. He had talked to this guy about something else years before. He goes, I think you need to talk to him. Well, what he had done is he created a place that could support 25 families. It got up to where they had, football fields worth of food production, because it always comes down to food. FYI, food and water, food. Okay, it's going to be a food thing. This whole thing is going to be a food thing. I just want to be repetitive so everybody understands. It's going to be a food thing. Okay?
And water.
Just FYI. Well, it rains sometimes. Anyway, I'm in Arizona, so maybe not. But the thing is that these communities, what they were doing is they set this kind of criteria to have the right fit. But some of them, they get so collectivist in it, they get voted off their own island. And I'm going, whoa. I get someplace, I'm going to be having mine. Good fences make good neighbors kind of thing. If I go in a community, there is going to be some boundary of mine, this is mine, not yours, mine. Okay? Then I'm free to be part of the community. And the community can excommunicate you, not off mine land. So that's why we're out in the desert in Arizona. There's plenty of desert. So I get mine, then you want to be part of a community. Well, maybe they don't want you. They don't like you. So you have to be an add to the community. What do you bring to the community? Why do they want you there? Now, of course, everybody in their community wants Donna and I be there. because we're self-sufficient. You know, we have our love bus if we wanted to do that while we build something, which is what we're doing in Arizona. But of course they want people that are ads. You got money, you got resources, you got a backhoe, you know how to do heavy equipment, you're a plumber, electrician. You're an ad. If you go and you're, you know, the povertarian, couch surfing, I'm an anarchist, you know, feed me. You think that doesn't happen? Cat knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's happened during this event. I mean, people sometimes feel entitled to things. It's a thing.
I'm an anarchist. See, I got big A right here. Feed me, Seymour. I mean, you know, I'm like, wow. So it's up here. We have to free ourselves up here and understand you are already free. Nobody tells you when to get up in the morning. You're not incarcerated. You know, you can lift, 10 pounds of dirt to make a earth bag, whatever the hell. You know, you have to practice your freedom. As you do that, you're an inspiration to others, and there may be some conflict. I expect some clipboards come and explain it to me. I'm kind of counting on it. Because that's how I operate. I operate from general public opinion to change the atmosphere of a liberty-supporting state, group, community, city, state, nation, world, universe, galactic, whatever. That we have in an experience, an atmosphere that not only tolerates but embraces individual liberty and freedom. Freedom and liberty aren't necessarily the same thing. Liberty is kind of a community standard, acceptance of government and support of, that kind of crap. Freedom is capability. Do we have the capability of attainable shelter to build homes? The reason you saw that we had TPs and freaking RVs, and Occupy the Land thing, that's not the point. I've been building domes for, over a decade. We had stamp press, make the struts, we go to different festivals and use it. But the reason I'm so enthralled with domes is because it incorporates the most amount of living
pause
space.
Pause on domes.
Pardon me?
Pause on domes. We're derailing, and I'm going to focus. We've got more people. Well,
I was almost done.
Okay, you got 30 seconds. Go for domes, 30 seconds, close it down.
No, the whole point was it's not about a specific type of construction. It is about incorporating the most square footage with the least amount of material. Because these domes, each one of those domes that you saw, the external structure, we did prototypes in Washington this summer, $5,000 each. I can build a 5,000 square foot home for $60,000. I'm telling you, if we practice our freedom and we get out of this clipboard permission asking mentality, everything's possible.
Amen. Okay, so I saw that Michael wanted to say something, but I also had a question. So I'm in a community where the nonprofit owns the entire land. I could get voted off the island. I personally right now find stability in that because I've watched them vote 2 people off the island who were super, super toxic. But the communities that Michael Clobber's setting up, they're designed differently. It's individual ownership of the homes. So I was hoping you could touch on that and then whatever the secondary thing you wanted to say was. And then I see that you had something to say as well, Guillermo.
Pretty
so
much
I'll
on those grounds.
Okay, I'll go Michael, I'll go you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pick up on what Ernie was saying. I mean, he brought up the man, right? And that is the fundamental component to liberty, right? Liberty, as he defines it, and I think I agree with that definition, is what is permitted by the man. Well, in every community, in every situation, either you will be your own interface with the man, or somebody steps in the middle and does that on your behalf. We are a for-profit organization. That's what our company is, and we make no bones about that. And our principal job after we design and build a community is to be that interface with the man. That's a really, really important element in any community, because I can assure you that most of you absolutely do not want to do that yourself. So understand that needs to be, for most people, a critical element of the community you pick. Kat, you picked a community very, very specifically, and I love how you did it. You set up a list of things that were important to you, and you put it out there, and people gave you some ideas. You went and visited, and you interviewed. I heard you use the word interviewed. Look, this needs to be a very serious process for people looking to move overseas. I had a woman, I had a great conversation the other night with a woman who was telling me about a story where she bought a piece of property, and after trying to get it going, she found in the country, out in the middle of kind of nowhere, she found out after a few months that she was actually a city girl. Well, okay. I mean, like, that's an important thing to figure out, right? So this intentionality. So we like to use the word intentional community, intentionality, right? But the intentionality must start here first, right? We have to be very clear about what we want. The problem is we don't always know what we want. You did because you'd kind of banged around on a few other things that didn't work, right? That's one way to do it, right? But experiential knowledge is truly the best knowledge, right? It's where we come out of it saying, yep, I figured it out. I think I know what I want. And let me add a qualifier to that right now, right? Because we change, life changes, circumstances changes. But right now, this is what I want. And so the more consciousness we can bring to the process of selection, the intentionality of what's important to me, we can do a much better job of finding the community that's going to be right for us. And if we do it well the first time, that's really important. If we can get it right the first time, we can really slide into something that's wonderful and comfortable. And the only piece of advice that I really give folks is to rent for 3 to 6 months before you buy. People think that's crazy coming from a developer. Look, you talked about voting toxic people out, right? If you rent for 6 months in one of our communities and you don't like it, please leave. We don't want you. You don't want to be there, we don't want you. On the other hand, if at the end of 6 months you say, oh, this really is a good fit for me, then we hope you will decide to buy a home or keep renting. You don't have to buy a home, you can rent homes, right? But that one little thing, rent for 6 months before you buy, allows you to really see if it wears well for you, if it's the right fit. And if we can get it right the first time, oh, what a blessing.
I have a housekeeping announcement. If you're looking for the compost area for workshops, you kind of have to walk past the stage, and it's back here. It's literally the venue's compost area. It's back this way. I had a question come from off stage. Okay, so with that being said, and I'm coming to you next, but I would like to mention that the community where I live, they learned the hard way, letting people move in right away, and now they have a policy where you come visit to a potluck. And every Wednesday, they have a community potluck, and you get to know people. If that goes well, you might get invited to come for a weekend, stay a couple nights. And then there's a 2-week visitor policy. And so my husband and I went through this. We came to potluck, we stayed overnight in the guest cabin. Then we brought our converted school bus for 2 weeks. And then we liked it so much, they liked us so much, we said, okay, what's next? And they said, well, okay, a 3-month extension. So we stayed for 3 months. Well, when we hit the 2-year mark, we said, okay, well, we want to become members. We want to be able to build. We like it here so much. And so there's this process, right? And so now my husband and I are building a cabin there. And we've gone through the process of not only being vetted, the community was vetting us, but we showed up and we made it clear we're vetting you, because this is our children, this is our future, this is, we are seeking something very specific. And so to speak to that, I really, really want to underscore, highlight, bold, red, italicize what Michael Cobb just said. Try it before you buy it, because if you go all in the wrong place, it is a lot harder to untangle yourself than you could actually imagine. So with that being said, I know we've shifted through a little bit, but if you want to say what you needed to say, Guillermo.
I just want to compliment a little bit about what Michael and Ernie were saying in terms of like when you're creating a community, sustainable community, or any community for that matter, just like the underlying factor that's like super, super important is like setting it up under the correct legal framework. Because it's like Ernie was saying, okay, so you're investing whatever, like what, $60,000 into a home, right? And you're like constructing and putting in your money in there, and it turns out that you're not constructing under the correct legal framework of the land that this community is based on. So this is a very big deal, and especially here in Mexico, because here in Mexico, there's a lot of misunderstanding about land ownership, and there are different ways to own land in Mexico, and some of the, people that own land, they because of ignorance or whatever, they think that they own it, but they don't really own it because it's called ejido land. Maybe many of you guys might have heard this before. And ejido land is nothing more than communal land that's given by the government to agricultural community members that want to form a community to work the land. But this land is not really theirs to sell, so they don't have the property rights to sell this land. However, this happens all the time. People buy this land thinking that it's correct, because the people who are actually selling think that that's right. And there's legal documentation, you know, from, it's called Registro Agrario Nacional, so basically it's like the National Agrarian Registry of Land. And what this is a government dependency. It's based on Mexico City, but it's in every state. And they basically control the ejidos. So an ejido is basically a communal land that's given to these people by the government, but they're not given the rights of the property. They're just giving the rights of using the land, and everything that's grown in that land belongs to them. So if you get stuck in this kind of like, or just offered something like this, and you don't really know where is the underlying legal framework behind the land, the parcel of land where this community is founded upon, that's a big deal, because you know you're investing, you know, you're sacrificed your time to make you know the economic resource to get into this community and buy this parcel of land, and then it turns out that it's really not yours, and then you end up like buying problems. So just what I would really like advise is if anybody's interested in doing this here in Mexico, just like really look into the legal framework. We'll be talking more about that in our presentation later on today. So yeah, it's pretty much something I wanted to complement what you guys were saying, because I think that's kind of like, you know, like the root, and then from there, you know, everything grows. And another point that I wanted to mention about like the man, right? So there's like the man telling you what you can do and what you can't do or whatever, which is obviously like the government, right? That's a good thing about Mexico, right? That the man here is a little bit like lighter, not so not so tough in sense of regulations, you know, and zoning laws and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, hey, how can we like set up, you know, this zoning law, and you can just like work it out, you know, whereas, you know, you can work it out, you know, not like, you know, the most first world the country is, the more regulated it is. So, you know, like, you know, United States is obviously more regulated, it's a first world country, and you go to Europe and it's like crazy regulated. So the more first world the country is, the more regulated it tends to be, and the more the man is strict. So here there's a little bit, you know, a little bit lighter on those regards. So like communities, when it comes to like the legality of zoning laws, what you can do, what you can't do, it's a little bit easier to do. And so yeah, that's just want to compliment on that.
Okay, I saw that Aristotle had something to say, and the way that this is unwinding is the conversation's just following itself. So I'm not going to ask all the questions I had intended to ask, because I'm appreciating how it's just organically unfolding. So I know that Aristotle had something to say, and then Gabrielle did, and then I have a question for Chad, and then we're actually like hitting an hour. And so we're going to go through and give some just closing remark, like advice things. And then I'm giving a talk immediately after this about specifically this community, Anarchapulco. So I hope you can stay and hear that. So Aristotle.
I think a lot of what you're saying is if we relate it to, you know, the technology world, and I came about some of the ideas and the thoughts that I had from Steve Jobs, who created Apple and then was kicked out of his own company, and then went and came back, and then kind of invited back because of the creativity and everything that he had. You know, so specifically about that concept is Steve had the idea of building something that is aesthetically beautiful in a super easy to use, that's so intuitive, like, oh, there's only 3 buttons. Okay, that's my choices. That this is what it is, and he made it so simple. How does it make it simpler? How do you keep it simple? How do you keep it simple? Now his opposite person was Bill Gates, and he wanted to make it more free. I want everybody flexibility and all of these things, and how there's not a wrong way. Okay, there's just different ways of doing it. My my community that we're building is, a aesthetically like, hey, I'm going to make sure that the properties are recycled water, the built with the correct materials, that's doing these things that kind of do it for you to make it, because not everybody has the freedom and the capability of building their own house, but they want this, but they don't know how. So we're going to build it so that the real estate and everything is sustainable for itself, meaning it's there. But then we went on and added the regenerative part about it. And so that the housing generates more water, generates more electricity that helps feed back to the system for the community in which you build, okay? I think that and I discovered, and I'm speaking later today at 5:15 about the education system where Kat was talking about, and I figured out that system and how it was built, and I'll go really deep into this part about it, is around children and the next generation. And I heard somebody backstage is talking about, said, if my kids don't want to do what I'm doing, why the heck am I doing it? Because they're not going to adopt it. So I'm wasting my time because it's not going to live through the rest of it. So how do you build a sustainable community that's regenerative, that's going to endure the test of time? And a lot of that is different concepts of being fortunate or being able to travel the world and taking the best parts of the places that we've been. Like Gabrielle and I were talking, and we just met, yesterday, and we just fell in love with each other. Why? Because we're like-minded. We want to share our ideas. We want to expand our consciousness. We want to incorporate these things. So I'm linking communities around the world that are together, and in part of our real estate, we have a transient properties so that you can come visit, and you could either actually buy a membership to that part of it and transfer to other communities that Mike and I haven't had this conversation yet, but he knows it's coming now, so that his future properties that he's building will have an element to my project. So we're linking these things together, which is what Lark and Rose talked about at the meeting of the minds, of being that network of the cog, because we have a lot of elements. Now, does Ernie necessarily want to live next to Aristotle? He hasn't decided that yet. But we don't know if we want to do those things, but we have to build that part of this. So if you don't like one of his properties, well, then come look at my property, and then we link it to another property, and then maybe you just want to be a transient activist, but then we have a membership that gives you the capability to do that. So what we are doing, the people up here, we're building a buffet, and you come pick which things you want out of it. Maybe you don't like my community. Maybe you don't like some of these things. Maybe you like the Mexican community. Maybe you like the architecture better. Maybe you like these things. So pick and choose and look at these things, but come and talk to us to see if we're a fit, if what you like, because we are creating, what we would like, but we also don't understand. My wife's ominous we is the inclusiveness, and sometimes includes me, meaning I have to go do things for her, or that I get to do things because she wants to do them. So don't be that ominous we. Come be you and see which one of these things you fit into. And then I would like to speak about the jurisdiction part of it, okay? Scott Brown told me, my mentor, he said, you know what? Government, state, county, town. That's the way the United States is there. You create a town, you control your governments. You control all of that. So I was like, really? Wow, I can create a town? Like, what? You can create your own town? So that's what I've been doing, is creating my own city, because then you have your regulations. Now I stripped away the power. The power becomes in my hands. But then what do I have to do is I have to have a body that's there to govern, develop decisions for these things, which we call a private membership association, a PMA, a nonprofit that helps strip away some of these other things. So we've decoded the part about gaining back our rights in the United States, where you feel like they're stripped away from you or something like that. My wife loves to go shopping, but she likes the concept of freedom, but she likes the concept of shopping as well. We haven't figured out which one she likes more. But she hates, I love people, but I can't stand them. So the concept of doing those things to being able to be close enough but far enough away. And that's some of the concepts that we've wanted, where you want all the luxuries, but, I want to be close enough, and, an hour away for Costco. So anybody else relate to that? Like, I love this. Look at these. You all need to look at these hands that are in the air, that I love my luxuries, but I want my freedom too. And think about those things. So the thought process that each one of us has spent years thinking about this. So if you're just starting out, come talk to one of the veterans up here that have done this. My mom and dad were hippies, and they've experimented with different things, looked at starting an ashram, and they started schools. I've started a school myself, and a Waldorf school, and it's an intense amount of work. It's years. But then I learned about what we can do and what we can create, and it's a lot easier to create things together. So find who resonates with us. Come talk to us from what you're talking about. We're each almost individually going to speak individually today about these types of communities, and then come back to it.
We're cutting into my talk in 2 minutes, so I'm going to let Gabriel really quickly say what he needs to say. I'm going to ask Chad a really brief question, and then I'm going to walk by each of them with the mic in my hand so they can't talk long, and they're going to give a 30-second closing remark and a website, okay? So here we go. Quick, and then question for you, and then we're closing.
Aristoteles, thank you very much, brother. I love you too. So I want to make a quick, small comparison between Sweden. My brother and I, we were very lucky, fortunate to have started our master's degree in Stockholm. We took a master's degree in real estate, finance, and economics. So I don't know if you are aware, but Sweden it's very rigid, and it's state-owned property. So I have very good news for everyone here. Mexico, it's private property, and if you have the right contacts, and if you know the right people and the right attorneys, which we have, okay, we are in contact with the Presidente Municipal, and if we need to speak to the governor, we have the means to talk to the governor. And what I'm trying to say, my friends, is that in Mexico, everything is possible, okay? And we don't limit yourself in your ideas of building a beautiful house, or maybe a two-story building, or maybe if hey Gabo, I have this idea, and can we make it? Can we make it? Because it's my dream, and I love Mexico, because our community, our real estate project is in the jungle. So, and we have a cenote. Everyone knows what a cenote is in Mexico? Everyone loves swimming in a cenote, fresh water. Yeah, so cenote, that's why my brother and I, we found a gem. We are 46 years old now, and we started looking for cenote land when we were 30. So we got extremely lucky that we found this beautiful land, and we want to share it. We want to share this, our passion, our vision, and our values, because it's very important to have the same values, my friends, and also to have the same mindsets. Okay, here we are in an Acapulco because we want freedom. We want freedom of speech. We want freedom of personality. We want freedom of everything, of poetry, music, dancing. We want freedom, and we crave for freedom, but also we need some regulations, because if not, like we say, the chicken goes out from the farm. Okay, so when you come to us, we are straight shooters. We are Monterey business people, and we are going to tell you exactly, before signing with us and becoming a member, we're going to tell you exactly what are the do's and don'ts. Okay, we have a 25 paper where it says, okay, this is the timing for this and that, and how you have to construct your building. And very quickly, also, I want to mention that this is an off-grid community, and all the materials we use come from Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. This is very important, because the materials we use is, we have a special chukum, it's called. So we use rocks, stones, for foundation and for building. And also we use trees for making the columns and making the steps and everything. And one very important Mayan shukum, it's called shukum, it's like a coating for the walls, and this keeps your property, when it's hot, it keeps it fresh. When it's a little cold, it keeps it warm. So this is the three materials we use, and looking forward to seeing you at 310 today first. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Chad, you and I have the experience of showing up into a community we were excited about and coming to the realization that maybe not everyone on the internet is who they appear. And I don't want to end this conversation without first touching on warning signs or ways to be frugal, things to watch out for. There are scammers, there are predators, these people exist, and I'm telling you, they are like in Harry Potter, those creatures, you know, with the really scary mentors, okay? Dementors, and they are like swarming around Anarchapulco right now. And we have done a lot of work to create this bubble, this dome of protection where that stuff doesn't get in here anymore, but it has before, and it could again. I hope not under our watch and under our stewardship. But maybe it could, maybe it would, but once you step out into the broader community, you might be running into some of these types. So what do we watch out for? What did you feel in your body when you knew something was wrong, and what do you do when you notice?
Yeah, that's a very important topic. Yeah. You know, over the last many years, I was in and out of the freedom community. I started in the Philadelphia area. I would do a little bit of stuff and leave. And as I mentioned earlier, I sort of, during COVID, I had to stay in Acapulco. And before I came to Mexico, I just had this vision in my mind of like Acapulco, all these expat anarchists. They're probably all these badasses doing this off-grid stuff. And you know, sadly, so many people, they would rather just sit around and complain about how bad the world is than do anything. So eventually I just got disgusted just sitting around and just listening to people complain about this and complain about that. And they were just stagnating. But I've come to realize they were not the whole majority of the community. They were just like, occupying the center. And we had a bit of a meltdown this year, and the community fractured. But some of the hardworking people, they reached out to me. They said, Chad, we've seen what you're doing, and we want to work with you. So we've restructured the community. And yeah, you do have to be careful, because just because, like you said earlier, just because somebody says they're an anarchist and you get along with them very well in the beginning does not mean that you're going to do great stuff together, or you should even trust them on serious issues. So, yes. Yeah, there's a new group. A lot of people are coming to Acapulco. Some people are here just visiting, but some people are interested in staying longer. Is anybody here interested in like living in Acapulco for like a longer time? Okay, yeah, there's a couple of people. Like it's on your mind. Like maybe I'll stay here. And to be honest, there is great opportunity here. Like my life, I've clicked off my bucket list in a huge way. And a new group of people they've reformed a new group. It's called the Acapulco Local Freedom Friends. They're on Telegram. So if you're interested in mingling with the local expats, the more trustworthy, decent people who are interested in doing stuff, look up Acapulco Local Freedom Friends on Telegram. And if you can come find me later on, we can talk more about that. But yeah, we're sort of restructuring a little bit and just trying to make it a little more productive for people who want to come here and do good stuff in the freedom community.
So with that being said, if someone asks you for money, don't give it to them if you haven't seen a business plan and you haven't talked to at least 10 people in the Anarchapulco community to make sure that they are legit. Okay, come talk to me. Come talk to someone you see up on this stage. Don't give money, crypto, to anybody on Telegram, even if you think they're one of us or someone like Jeff, because it could be and likely is a scammer. We are not going to ask you for money on Telegram. You're going to see a business plan. You're going to get to visit the community, and I just need to vocalize that. So I said I was going to walk down with the mic, and I mean it, and I would like you to give a 2 or 3 sentence closing remark and your website, and I'm going to start with Ernie, and I'm going to walk back this way.
OccupyTheLand.org launches the Ides of March. So if you go there, you'll find it. The one thing I want to make clear, they've taken away our rest through interest, taxes, regulation. If we started now when we were younger, like I remember when Cat and Levolution and so on, to just start building our own homes. You'd have a Taj Mahal by now.
You're holding it. Okay. So I'm going to give you my email address. I'll give you our website. Our website we just took down because I didn't like the way it was looking. So my email address is blueocean365 at tutanota.com, spelled tutanota.com. And the website is livegrandote.com. And grandote is spelled Grandote.
And most of each afternoon, you can find Aristotle standing right here with Ernie next to the stage.
Hi. All right. Best email address, info@ecidevelopment.com. And the closing remarks are, there really are Dementors, not just flying around here, but everywhere. When you go outside of North America and Northern Europe, you enter the land of buyer beware. I will be presenting a presentation today. That's specifically what it's about, the Consumer Resource Guide. If you send an email to info@ecidevelopment.com, we'll send you the Consumer Resource Guide. You need that if you're considering property ownership overseas.
Thank you. Chad.
All right, everyone. I'm going to be offering online workshops about how to keep your basic life necessities in order without any assistance from authority, how to handle your own waste, how to get your own electricity and water. If you're interested in that online or in-person workshop, message me at triviumautonomy@gmail.com, and that's it for now.
Hello. I just want to emphasize the importance to do proper due diligence when investing in real estate in Mexico. And it's really simple, actually. It's not. You just need to know what to look for and just what to watch out for. But it's really simple. We're going to talk about that later today at 3 o'clock, 3:10. And for contact information, just check out our webpage. It's Ecoaldea, so it's in Spanish. It's ECOALDA, Ecoaldea, Poxil, Poxil. Poxil is the name of fruits in Maya that, of trees that give fruits. But we'll talk about that later. So it's ecoaldeapoxil.com. You can find their information there.
And I'm going to ask that all of these speakers post this information in WOVA. Please post your websites, post that information.
So within our eco-village, we also are creating for all the people who are techie people and crypto lovers. We have Bitcoin Jungle, and the contact information or the website is www.bitcoinjungle.com.mx, and for Instagram, Ecoaldeapoxil. And tomorrow we're having a workshop at 11 at the Palapa over here, and also we're gonna stay for the Agoraforco. So Tuesday and Thursday at noon, we're gonna have a workshop, and we're gonna be speaking about the market conditions, legal framework, and crypto, and also we have a membership program so that it can work for you. Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you attending. So if the panel would like to exit, we've gone 10 minutes over, and I need someone to tell me, do I need to end right at my 10 minutes, or do I have a little bit of time? Who's after me?
Who's after you is, let me get this thing.
No stress, I'll get started. You got me for at least 10 minutes.